Yo, what is going on, guys? Cryptic TMT back with a brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about Le Mans Ultimate and the brand new update with the new DLC cars. I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks and the best way to run these cars at the moment in the default state that they're in. Things that I feel like could be done better and things that I feel like they've done really well with this update. So without any further ado, let's get stuck into the video. So we are in the Porsche 911 GT3 R LMU GT3, and what I will say about this car is you kind of want to be a little bit more reserved when it comes to like TC slip and rearward brake bias, because what I've noticed is, unlike the Aston and the Mustang, where running your TC slip quite low is beneficial, I feel like it makes this Porsche a little more sketchy because of the way how I feel that the car turns in. It has a slight bit of understeer on initial turning, and then the back rotates extremely quickly. So you kind of have to get used to that. So I would say when you're messing with the TC settings, I've actually used, I think it was 644 or 645. That's what I was using when I did try this car in the beginning. Of course, this is in single player where there's open setup, but I'm not going to touch any of that. Also, when you look at the brake bias, I don't go any lower than 48.0, and to be honest, I was running about 48.5, and you know, that was where I felt like it was a good place for stability without making the car overly sensitive. I would suggest though you start off maybe at 50-50 and then go as low as you can down before the car becomes a problem. So that's what I would suggest that you do. Also, I'm using between 8 and 10 ABS, and that is on all of the new cars at the moment. I'm no longer touching 11 really. Well, I didn't really used to use 11 anyway, but I think you can get away with running your ABS slightly lower. Also, what I will say about the Porsche is it's not that quick down the straight, but you can get good exits out of corners, and it does allow you to get into the slipstream of the cars in front, so bear that in mind. Also, as I said before, I don't know, the sort of turning of the Porsche is a little bit weird to get used to straight away. For me, as I said, it's a little bit lazy on the initial entry, and then it just rotates. So like you almost feel like you can't carry the speed through the corner without realizing that you can actually lean on the car much heavier than you think you can. Okay, so that's going to be something that you're going to have to get used to, but try the settings out that I've told you in terms of the brake bias and the TC and see how you go. Other than that, let's now focus on the Mustang. So now we are in the Mustang, and for me personally, this car is a lot more forgiving, so you can definitely set the car up more aggressively. I would come down on the onboard TC and then put the TC cut down to about 3, and I think you can get away with running 1 or even 2 on the slip, because you need the car to rotate. Front end doesn't tend to rotate that much, so you're going to need to seriously go down on the TC slip and also the brake bias. Now I'm using around like 56.5. I'm really going rearwards on the brake bias, and for me, again, going to be running the anti-lock brakes on 8 or 9, preferably. Those are the 2 that I've been floating around. Car feels pretty good on the brakes, and as I said, with this tire model, there does seem to be a bit more understeer, which is the reason why, of course, we are going so low on the TC slip and so rearwards on the brake bias. And yeah, the car feels good, man. I feel like out of the 3 cars that we've got so far in the DLC, this is probably the most forgiving, probably the most user-friendly car that I believe that most newcomers, if you were to jump in a car, it would probably be either the Mustang or the BMW. If you're completely new to the game, those would be the cars that you more than likely be comfortable in. Some of the other cars, if you're driving like a Corvette, Ferrari, or even the Porsche, they're going to be a little bit more difficult to extract the fast times out of. You know, it's a lot easier to get a decent time out of the front engine cars. That's what I found, especially if you're running fixed. The BMW probably still has the best fixed setup, so just bear that in mind. But yeah, let's move on to the Aston. Now we move on to the Aston Martin, which I haven't actually done a race with it yet. I've done a few laps in practice, and to me it feels quite nice. It doesn't actually seem the fastest, so I'm not sure in terms of like BOP in default setup or fixed setups that it can quite really compete right at the front at the moment. I would say out of the cars, the Mustang and the Porsche, they seem to be a lot closer to the front, a lot closer to the ultimate pace on particularly some of the daily races this week. So it's going to be interesting to see what it's like once you're able to sort of make your own setups and stuff like that. But again, the car just handled pretty nice. What I will say is, to get the best out of the Aston, I'm not going to lie to you, man, I feel like running the brake bias pretty much all the way to the rear, maybe not all the way to the rear unless you're really good, but running the brake bias very rearward seems to be the way to go. And again, with the TC settings, you're going to be moving that down, trying a little bit less TC slip just to see if you can get the car to rotate. It does sort of tend to understeer as well, and I just feel like that's a component of the front engine cars. I would say the car that doesn't have that component as much is probably the BMW, which is why I would still say, you know, as I said before, if you're new to the game, the BMW is probably going to be your best option. Now, for me, I do think that particularly after the update, some of the fixed setups need to be worked on a little more, just so we can get that that variation, because I do still feel like the cars with the best fixed setups are just going to be the ones that monopolize the majority of the grids. Of course, though, trust me, the cars feel pretty decent to drive. I'm happy with them. I'm happy with the direction the game's got at the moment. Not too many things that I want to complain about, but I will get into some things I feel like that can be done slightly better. So let's get into that next. So if I'm going to have any complaints, I would probably say the only tiny things that I can actually complain about is I still feel as though maybe one or two of the default setups could be improved. I still feel like that the Aston is, I mean, I'd say it's about 3/10 off pace compared to some of the other cars, and I jump in them. I feel like it's just able to produce the race pace and the quali pace much easier. I mean, these are minuscule things. Probably some of the other cars as well probably need work because of how strong, maybe like the BMW, the Porsche seems to be pretty strong in the race as well, if you can make the tires survive. Some of the cars just slightly off pace on the fixed setups. And also down in the bottom right hand corner where you've got the damage multiplier, you can see it right here, the damage MFD. The only thing I would say is maybe if they could maybe add like a digit, maybe 1 to 10 or 1 to 100, or you could, so you can see how bad the damage is, because you can have like a, you know, like yellow front wing or yellow rear wing, and still I'm not sure how much that actually cost you. So maybe if it was, you know, yellow front wing 2% or whatever, anything like that, then you know it's not worth changing, or it's not really slowing you down. Maybe they just need to explain it better. If it's yellow, then you're fine, doesn't cost you any time. If it's orange, then it's gonna start costing you half a second or whatnot. We still don't know exactly how much the damage actually cost you in time. So if they could like clear stuff like that up, maybe a bit of an explanation around that, then still you would know. Particularly if you were, for instance, if you were doing in the future like an endurance race driver swap, and you've got like a yellow like a yellow suspension and a yellow front bumper and yellow on the sides, you don't really know whether that's worth changing or not, or how much time it's going to cost you or whatnot. So, you know, I would like to see those things a little bit more, just a little bit more information, so we can, you know, we can figure that out for ourselves and, you know, decide whether we want to pit and change. Only other thing I can think of right now, it's not a big thing that's affecting me in races, it's actually after the race. sometimes you leave the race and then your screen's just blank and you literally have to quit the game and then restart the game. Now it's nothing that's going to stop me from playing, but sometimes it's just irritating having to Alt F4 or get the task manager up so you can quit the game just to go back on, you know. Just literally little things like that. What I do like though, in the top left hand corner is, as you can see, when we are doing laps, when we're in the race, now you can actually see other people's lap times as they cross the line, and that's actually something that I asked for before, because obviously it's something that we haven't had in ACC. It's just kind of informational. As you're driving around, you're able to see what lap times people are doing around you, so you know, you kind of know if the guy that's 5 seconds behind you is starting to catch you. You can see what lap times he's doing, so it's pretty cool, man. A lot more information. Now you can see what people are doing with their fuel, who's saving. And I mean, to me, this was a very, very, very good update, man. A very good update. Definitely, it added a lot to the game. And yeah, as I said before, to me personally, doing races on LMU, there's nothing like it in terms of racing, strategy, all sorts. It's quality, man. So if you're on the fence about getting LMU, I think the time is now. Don't wait, don't delay, because it is a game that you have to get used to. It's a game where you have to figure out the virtual energy and all that sort of stuff. I'm probably going to do a video on virtual energy at a later date, because so many people come into my streams and ask me, what is this virtual energy? How does it work and whatnot? That's why for me, it's always important to try to be in the first wave of a game when it comes out, so you can get the understanding right from the beginning, because it's very hard for someone who's been playing the game for like a year to like relay the information, because to you it's, you know, it's almost like second nature, and then someone, you have to watch other people coming in just struggling, and in your head you're thinking, what are you doing? You know, don't change that, don't touch this. But it is what it is, man. But hopefully you guys are enjoying LMU and the new update. Cryptic TMG, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell to catch my videos first, and peace.